All right, so we are going to talk about how to graph the equation y equals 3x squared minus 6x plus 4. So the first thing when we are looking at quadratic equations is we want to find the axis of symmetry. So we do that using the equation x equals negative b over 2a. In this equation, our a is 3, our b is negative 6, and our c is 4. So we're going to plug those into this equation. It's going to be negative 6 over 2 times 3. Negative 6 becomes positive 6. 2 times 3 becomes 6. So our axis of symmetry is x equals 1. And I'm going to draw that in right here. All right, so the next thing that we want to do is we have to find our vertex. So our vertex we find by plugging in this value of x back into our equation to find y. So we're going to do y equals 3 times 1 squared minus 6 times 1 plus 4. 1 squared is 1, so 3 times 1 is 3. Negative 6 times 1 is negative 6, and then we have that plus 4. 3 minus 6 is negative 3, plus 4 gives us 1. So our vertex is the point 1, 1. So I'm going to go ahead and plot that right there. So that is our vertex. Now, looking at this equation, we can figure out if our parabola opens up or if it opens down. And that's all based on this a. So in this case, our a is 3, which is positive. So that tells us that our parabola is going to open up. And that means that our vertex is the minimum point, because everything is going to be higher than that vertex, so it's the bottom point. Now, I'm going to write that vertex point into the middle of our table of values. And then to find other values, we are going to pick 2 values for x that are less than 1 and 2 values for x that are greater than 1. So I'm going to do negative 1, 0, 2, and 3. We also know that since our vertex is on our axis of symmetry, that means that as we move away from that x the same amount, our y values are going to be the same. So as we're moving away, it's going to stay symmetrical. So that means whatever value we get when x is 0 will be the same as when x is 2, and then the same thing for negative 1 and 3. So let's solve for when x is negative 1. So we're going to plug it in just like before. We have 3 times negative 1 squared minus 6 times negative 1 plus 4. Now negative 1 squared is 1, so 3 times 1 is positive 3. Negative 6 times negative 1 gives us positive 6, and then we have that plus 4. Now 3 plus 6 is 9, plus 4 gives us 13. So that also means that when x is 3, our y will be 13. Let's do the same thing for 0. So y equals 3 times 0 squared minus 6 times 0 plus 4. Now, when we plug in 0, all of that cancels, so we're left with just that 4. And that is our y-intercept. So now let's plot some points. We have 0, 4, 4, and we also have 2, 4. We have negative 1, 13. graph's a little small, so I'm just going to extend that. And then we also have 313. So that comes all the way up there. And then our last step is to just draw in our parabola. And that's it.